I wanted to take a few minutes today and talk to you about something that I take very seriously, and that's my skincare. I kind of obsess about it actually. I want my skin to look nice and bright and young, but I had to challenge myself this month and I had to go outside the box when it came to skincare because my routine skincare is all about the Frank. All about the Frank. Morning, evening, all about the Frank. And I don't know how it happened. I'm positive that the young living fairy came and stole my Frank because up on the shelf I had 2 bottles of Frank and they were both empty bottles. I panicked. Total panic. I was going to steal the 5 ml from my kid, but I have some classes coming up and I didn't want a chance not putting that Frank in there or using it all. I was going to steal it from my daughter, and then I got to thinking this would be a really good opportunity for me to do some research, go outside of my box a little bit, and try to find other oils that might support my skincare as well or differently than Frank. So first, let me talk about my skincare routine just a little bit. I'm a makeup wearer, as you can see, and so in the evenings I have a do-it-yourself recipe, the makeup remover pads that I use. I've just about perfected the recipe for myself. It kind of really depends on your skin tone and what oils you're comfortable with, but for me, I've just about got it perfected. It takes my makeup off, has fractionated coconut oil in it. I also use the Art Gentle Cleanser in it. I use oils of my choosing, whatever feels right at the time, always Frank. And I wipe the makeup off. I do a quick rinse. My face has soft. It really works on the breakouts, the dullness, the patches of dry skin, and it works on that anti-aging that those of us who are turning 40 this year really want to address. So I use those in the evening, and then in the morning I use Orange Blossom. If you aren't using Orange Blossom, I highly suggest it. My kids love it. When I was at convention, the lady who did the beauty products seminar said that Orange Blossom was really good for teenage skin. So I tend to have a little bit of teenage skin. It's a little finicky. It's oily some days. It's dry some days. It breaks out some days. It has a mind of its own. But the Orange Blossom kind of keeps it on an even keel. Plus, in the mornings with that fractionated coconut oil on my face, it doesn't soak all the way in for me, so it's kind of just a little bit oily still. And the Orange Blossom takes that right off it. Supports it, takes the oily feeling, leaves it ready for the day. And then when I'm done out of the shower, getting ready to put my makeup on, I do the Art Toner. Really quick swipe of the Art Toner, and then I use the Art Gentle Moisturizer. And the trick is with the moisturizer, that's where I use my Frank. I put a couple drops of Frank in my palm and then I add a squirt of moisturizer and put it on my face. It's a really good primer. It does a really good job of keeping me moisturized and keeping my makeup in place. So as a whole, it's my routine. Little couple drops of Frank and then moisturizer all over my face and start with my makeup. But when you have no Frank, what do you do then? So I did some research and I chose to go through my oil wall and choose some oils that I know are really good for skincare, but also not something that I'm using for skincare. And I found some really interesting things. The first one I used was cedarwood. If you don't have cedarwood, it's a very cheap and very underappreciated oil. The benefits that we can get from cedarwood are numerous. Very high in sequestropines. If you don't know what sequestropines in, I suggest you do the research. That's definitely something that everybody should be using cedarwood for. And generally, every morning, I would put a couple drops of cedarwood in my palm and I'd rub it on the back of my brain. Start oxygenating the brain before I have to get to work. Start supporting a little bit of emotional uplift, a little bit of grounding. But I never thought about using it on my face, even though it's totally capable for that. So I did. Now a lot of people don't like the scent of cedarwood. And let me tell you right now, the more you use it, the more you'll love it. Seriously. In the bottle, it's a little overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. I've more than once compared it to cat urine. That's how I felt in the very beginning. But the more you use it, the more you love it. A couple drops smells just like a cedar tree. It doesn't smell bad a couple drops at a time. And now I use it every day and it doesn't smell bad at all. My son loves it. Never once did he not like it. So to put it on my face was a little intimidating. But I did. Took a couple drops, added it to the moisturizer, put it to my face, and I really, really liked it. It was a nice kind of clean scent, because cedar to me is kind of a clean scent. And it did a great job of uplifting and oxygenating. I felt just like I normally do, put it on my neck, just on my face, and I could smell it a lot longer. Usually on my neck, I don't smell it long term, but on your face, you're gonna smell it. I felt it was a little oily for me. So I talked about my finicky skin. Sometimes it's oily, sometimes it's dry, sometimes it's patches. You know, it's got a mind of its own. I felt at the end of the day that cedarwood was just a little bit too thick of an oil for my personal regime. But if you have drier skin, or you know, in the mornings you're just kind of down on yourself, I totally suggest trying a couple drops of cedarwood. It was really nice. I really liked it. I also used Melrose, because I have a tendency to break out, especially in the hormonal cycle. And so I add a couple drops of Melrose. It's got a nice tingly. If you know, the smell of Melrose is kind of medicinal, so I'm not going to say that I personally really liked the smell of Melrose, but I really liked the benefits it gave me. By the end of the day, the little bump that I might have on my chin was greatly diminished. I didn't have to, you know, do the little dot treatment. I just put it all over my face, and it didn't burn me, but it is sometimes considered a hot oil. But I liked it. It tingled. I didn't like the smell as much, but it really did actually help. I chose the right time of the month to use it, so it really did actually help with my hormonal breakouts that I usually get. Next, grapefruit. I don't know why I chose grapefruit other than I really wanted something to smell good. You know, I missed my smell of Frankf. Cedarwood wasn't a smell that I wanted to do all the time, even though I like it. And Melrose wasn't a smell I wanted to do all the time because it's so medicinal. So I wanted to choose something that smelled good. And I know that grapefruit can be used for just about anything. I will caution, though, grapefruit is one of those photosensitive oils, so it's not something you want to put on your face and then go spend a day at the beach or on the ball field, because you do run the risk of getting a serious burn. It's definitely something you might want to use on your face at night, unless you, like me, and you live on the coast and it's raining and you have a job inside and you weren't going to get outside anyways. So I added a couple drops. I really liked it. It was awesome. I smelled grapefruit all day long, which is uplifting, which is energizing. It was definitely a favorite of mine, and I'm contemplating, you know, switching Frank out once in a while, or maybe adding a drop of Frank and grapefruit. Not quite sure where I'm going, but definitely grapefruit is something that I'm going to continue to explore using in my skincare. There's other things that I haven't used it for, but I have heard that it is, you know, good for thinning unwanted hair. It's good, a great toner. All the citruses are good toners, so I almost could use it in place of the toner in the morning instead of using the art toner once in a while. The next one I used was lavender. Everybody knows lavender is good for everything, so I felt I was pretty safe using lavender. It's really strong lavender smell all day long. I'm not a huge lavender smell lover. I'm not a real big floral lover, but it really did keep me even keel all day long. I have one of those jobs where it can be stressful all of a sudden, and then it can be slow all of a sudden, and then it can be really busy all of a sudden, and then you can be like swamped for hours. And it was a really swamped, busy day for me. And at the end of the day, I came home and I'm like, wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought it should have been. I should be like stressed, but I think some of that is the lavender. Putting it on my face, smelling it all day long, having the opportunity to work on target was a big benefit for me. I don't really like the smell of lavender that much, but it's definitely something that I would look into. Again, it was kind of heavier, kind of like cedarwood, and at the end of the day, I kind of felt like my skin was way too moisturized for me. I had finicky skin. It was way too moisturized for me. The next one I used was tea tree. Tea tree is good for all things. It's in Melrose. I like tea tree. I use it a lot. I use it in a face wash that I make up for my kids. It's very good for breakouts and blemishes and keeping the skin clear. And just like the Melrose, I didn't really like the smell, but it tingles when you put it on, which I kind of really dig. So I had fun putting it on, and I'm like, oh, that's a little tingle. That's nice. And at the end of the day, I felt like it did a really good job. All the little indiscrepancies I might have had popping up didn't pop up, or if they ever were going to, but I felt good using tea tree. I felt like on my face it was a good move for me. And then last but not least, I used geranium. Those of you who know me know that this is like a huge step for me because I am not a floral lover at all. I mean, joy, ylang ylang, I use them. I don't necessarily like them. I use them more on my feet or, in my hair where I don't have to smell it all the time. So geranium was a big step out of the box, but I knew that it had really good skin qualities to it. And why not give it a shot? I did smell geranium all day long, but by the end of the day, it didn't smell that bad. It's like at the beginning, I was like, I'm not sure I can do this. I might have to wash my face to get it off. But in a couple hours, it was diminished a little bit. And by the end of the day, it was just like every once in a while when I moved really fast, I would have a little waft of it. But it wasn't something that was so overwhelming that I had to take it off. And it really was nice. My skin was definitely softer. I thought the lavender would give me a softer feel, but really it just more like moisturized. But geranium made me feel like my skin was softer. Like I didn't even have to use the coconut oil to soften my skin because the geranium and oil had already done that. And to be honest, I think at some point I might add geranium into my makeup removers once in a while just because it really did leave my skin feeling nice even if I wasn't a big fan of the smell. So those were my choices, and I wanted to let you guys know that none of them were bad. None of them broke me out. None of them made me feel like I had definitely destroyed my skin or my face routine. It was a nice little challenge, and thankfully I have my Frank back, so I'm going back to Frank. But I think, maybe every Wednesday I'll just shake it up and choose something off the counter. And I think you guys should too. If you're using the art system, add a drop of a different oil in your palm before you mix it with your moisturizer. It's a really nice, different feel. Support your skin. If you're broken out, try some Melrose and some tea tree. If you're dry, try some lavender, try some cedarwood. If you're over moisturized, don't use the cedarwood, don't use the lavender. I think tea tree and Melrose would be good for that as well. So go outside the box, try something a little different, and let me know how you feel. Let me know what works for you. Thanks.